Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, bringing you this fan-based, band-endorsed podcast, going through everything Uriah Heep ever recorded in the studio. And plus, we covered the Live in 73 album. Dave White and I did that, the band's social media director. So we're down to 2 albums now. We have Totally Driven, and our next season will be Celebrations. These are re-recordings of the band's songs in the studio. And on this season, we've got on vocals, we have Bernie Shaw, on bass, Trevor Boulder, drums, Lee Kerslake, keys, Phil Lanzon, and of course, on guitar, the one and only constant of the band, Mick Box. So we are on the song Love in Silence. And this one would be going back to Sea of Light, season 19, episode 9, originally aired November 19th of 2021. And I've got that link in the show notes if you guys want to go back and listen to the review of the original version of the song. Today, we're going to cut into this re-recording and see what we've got to deal with. The song's over 6 minutes, so we got a lot to get into. I say we just start right away. Here it is. Very much like our episode yesterday, we have some nice touches on piano. Again, not playing the whole melody, which I really enjoy, as piano is kind of a sound I've gotten a bit tired of, but it's used very well here. The real star here would be Trevor. You know, he's really playing the solo here on bass, which sounds very nice. Can't get enough of that. I could have used another couple of bars, to be honest.
This is our world, our future. These are our times. I believe we have to see. In silence, there's no mystery. The world is so busy talking. What do they know? They're missing out on being alive. And words are turning into lies.
Well, we are getting a little more piano now, but I don't mind it because it's gentle. It's not that hard striking piano that kind of, sometimes can just pierce my eardrum. I like this more gentle playing. It's very nice. Nice vocal from Bernie. Song started out with that same sort of acoustic guitar and things that we had in the last song, but now it's starting to take on a life of its own. I really like when, the music backs off and really allows Bernie the chance to be in the front, because he's such a great singer. Why would I not want to hear that? He's got such a great voice, whether he's singing harsh or gentle. He always sings with emotion, always makes me feel like I'm right there with him in whatever story he's telling. And this is a really nice combination right here. Yeah, that is some great stuff from Trevor right there. It's nice to see the bass shining. The bass in most of these songs throughout the band's history has always played a pretty major role, as opposed to a lot of other, more foundational or root note bass players, as we've talked about. But, I like the fact that he's actually really featured. He's actually playing the solo through this and can be heard more up front. It's really nice change of pace. Everybody else is just kind of playing in the background, just really supporting him. And that's very pleasant to my ears.
Love to guide us. What do we know? future's never to be told. It's waiting there inside your soul. The innocent join in fighting so easily in a world of pain and war. Who knows what they're fighting for? What they're fighting for. What they're fighting for. What they're fighting for.
The backing vocals sound very low for what we're used to hearing from this band throughout all the incarnations. I don't remember what they were on the original studio version because it's not one of the songs I'm extremely familiar with, but definitely feels different to me. It feels like, a different band. And I know we've got, like, Lee could sing the high harmonies. Maybe at this point he couldn't. I don't know. But definitely a completely different feel for Uriah Heep than I'm used to. I'm just going to cut in here as we're switching solos. This is really interesting. It's a very long, slow build. I kind of feel like they could have maybe just done a quick pass or two with just the dark synth sound in the organ and jumped ahead a little bit faster. Especially since it was such a long part. It's a nicely crafted build, but for me that part just went on a little bit too long. But I have to give Trevor another compliment here because during that part, he's playing the low notes, but then he's jumping up to the high notes. So he's going back from the fourth string to the first string, from the fourth string to the first string. A lot easier to say apparently than it is to do. But it's very nice. I really appreciate that as someone who is dabbling in bass guitar. I could say for me, that would be incredibly difficult to do it with that kind of precision. But, Trevor was a far better bass player than I'm likely to ever be. It's pretty cool. Just kind of a long build. Felt a little more cinematic, too, than rock and roll. But, we've heard some of that stuff around this era of the band. A lot of things I recall saying, this could have been in a movie. This could have been in a soundtrack. This could have been on a TV show. It was a different time period of their writing. I don't think they would necessarily do anything quite like this now. If they did, I think it would get there much faster. And of course, their sound is much heavier now. So, this is kind of a weird part. I think it could have been reworked, but it's not bad. But I think it could have been condensed down, especially when you're talking to songs almost 6.5 minutes. Yeah, this is really cool. Although it sounds more to me like something you would hear in a musical. I'm not familiar with an incredible amount of musical soundtracks. Not really my forte. But one that I'm just thinking off the top of my head, the one that I know the best would be Jesus Christ Superstar. It's the one that I grew up with and have listened to hundreds of times. And this kind of feels almost like that, like towards the end, when Judas is coming back to sing to Jesus, and it just has that incredible power and build to it. It feels very much like that. And I enjoy it. I think this sounds fantastic. Not something I would have expected so much from a rock band, because it really has more of a a stage sound to me, but it's certainly very, very well done.
Love is the one direction that leads to truth, and knowing in your heart what's right, you'll walk upon the sea of light. There's something in love and silence that you can find. Know yourself and all around, and listen to the only sound.
Well, I know I've said it before. I really appreciate rare moments like this where we get to hear Bernie so isolated. There's a nice amount of reverb on his voice there, but that just makes the room feel bigger. Doesn't change the quality of his voice, which, as always, is absolutely top notch, fantastic. Just that touch of grit that gives him an edge. But he sings very, very beautifully. And moments like this, I honestly have to say I treasure, because they're pretty rare. Yeah, that was a nice part. It's what I like to call a comeback part, where you kind of feel there's some, empty resolution, but then the power of the music comes back in and takes the song over. And I really did. I think that was very well done here. I love those little notes on the strings that we're hearing. I'm pretty sure that's Phil playing strings on keyboard, and just that pace of the acoustic guitar from Mick. Great energy from Lee and Trevor, of course. Trevor's really a star in this one. Really just adding a lot more on bass than we would normally hear, but he's normally not this up front. He's, definitely in the mix, but I think he's a little more up front in this one. And I think it's a good combination of things. It's definitely nice to change things up now and then, and especially live too, because everybody kind of, thinking about performances and how tired you're going to get. It's like good where, Trevor can take over a song more musically, and everyone else can lay back just a little bit and gear up for whatever they're going to do in the next song. Oh man, you got to give it up to Bernie for something like that. I mean, such power, such control over his voice, absolutely sounded fantastic. And now the music is just grooving. This is just a lot of fun now. Nice haunting but powerful ending. And I have to say again, very theatrical ending, right? I feel like this would translate very, very well to a musical, would work on stage, especially towards the end of something where you're gearing the audience up for the end. Again, making a comparison to the song Superstar on Jesus Christ Superstar, this would fit that very well. It's a good song, though. I like it. I like the energy on it. I thought the middle section could have moved a little bit more quickly because it is kind of a long song. But apart from that, no, it's fantastic. I love Bernie's voice and I love Trevor's work. Lee's very energetic. Mick is fantastic on acoustic here. His just patience and timing is always right where it needs to be. Phil's playing some great stuff, especially on those string patches. It's a good song. I mean, one I would definitely listen to over and over. Is this the kind of song I would have expected I would hear from Uriah Heep? Probably not. But like I said, during this time in the band, music was different. They were writing different than what we're used to. So it's not too surprising, but it's very enjoyable, good song. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it too. That will do it for today's show. Of course, tomorrow's Wednesday. We'll be off. We'll be back on Thursday for another episode and another song to review. Cheers, guys. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magicians Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show. And thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!